everyone. Social work is one of the fastest growing professions in the United States and Europe and offers many job opportunities from top management positions to hands-on work with clients and patients. Today, we have with us Dr. V Priya, Assistant Professor at Department of Social Work, Coimbatore, uh, Amrita School, who will share her insights on social work as a career and introductory session to MSW program. Welcome to today's session, ma'am.
Thank you, Nija.
Ma'am, can you please tell what is social work and how different it is from philanthropy?
So whenever we hear the word social work, we often relate it to philanthropy, charity, service, or selfless act. But actually speaking, social work is not that. It is a profession which is a helping profession that helps others to help themselves. So it is an enabling profession rather than a service-oriented activity. And if you see, we also have code of ethics. We also have values and principles which we follow while practicing social work profession. And we take reference from the National Association of Social Workers, the National Association of Professional Social Workers in India, the International Federation of Social Workers. So it is not, as we all believe, it is not a philanthropic act or it's not a charity act. It is a professional service which is rendered by a professional who is graduated from social work, masters in social work, and he uses techniques in social work like casework, group work, and administration and so on to help the others.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So you said that this is a field-based program. So in order to put theory into practice, how do you structure this program?
So basically this program is for a 4-semester program. It's 2 years. So we have both theory and practice. If you see the curriculum of social work, it is 40% of the curriculum is basically practice. And it is not like other profession. We cannot have labs in a closed setup. The social work profession itself is carried out with human beings and with the community. So our lab is the community. So we do have theory complemented by practice, which we called as field work. And at Amrita, we have field work, which is called as concurrent field work, which means there is a difference in the field work that we have here. In concurrent field work, what happens is the student goes for field work, comes back to the college, has a conference with the faculty who guides him or her, and decides what is to be done on the next day, then goes back and implements it and comes back with a report. So it is not like done as an internship, but rather it goes as a concurrent field work. That is why it's called as concurrent field work. And every semesters they do have a paper which is concurrent field work. And apart from field work, they also have other practical based courses, which is rural camp or a tribal camp, where the students are taken to the community, either to a rural or a tribal setting, and where they are made to be aware of the problems that the communities face, especially the rural community or the tribal community. They live with the community, understand the problem, and come out with solutions for the problems. And they either try to implement it during their course of stay, or they plan out a solution which can be adopted to that particular community. And when the next batch, or when there is an opportunity for the other students to go back into the community, they ensure that they try to bring out those solutions which they have brought out. And these solutions are not done or manipulated by the social workers, but it is done with the help of the community where they visit. They make the community participate in the process of identifying problems and the feasible solutions that can be implemented. So they do have practice like a technique called participatory rural appraisal, which means the rural community participate in understanding the problem and arriving at a feasible solution for the problems. So this is what the practical sessions are. And theory, in theory, whatever they learn, they do study courses like social casework, social group work, and community organization. So in casework, what they study is about how to deal with individuals, or rather we call them as clients. So the social worker works as a case worker or a case manager and tries to identify the problem of the client or the individual and helps the individual to overcome his problems on his own. So casework does activity with individuals, whereas group work works with groups. Like for example, if there are people with alcohol addiction or similar kind of problems, the group worker, that is the social worker, acts as a group worker and facilitates the group to understand their problems, identify their problems, and come out with solutions on their own. So apart from that, we also have courses called project formulation and management, where, because basically social work is done through NGOs and government organizations through development programs. So the student has to know what is a project, because projects are always for the community, and so they need to know how it should be carried out. So they do have project formulation and management. They also need to know how to administer the project and how to run an NGO. So we also have a subject which is called social welfare administration, where they learn the skills of administration, and they also have corporate social responsibility. So they know nowadays, if you look at all the public and private sectors, they are more involved in CSR activities. So they also get an idea or an insight into how to implement CSR activities. They learn that. And apart from that, they also go in for legislations. They also learn legislations, because when we are working with communities, or particularly the vulnerable communities, we need to know how to address their issues. So they also learn the legislations, particularly for women, children, the disabled, and such vulnerable communities. So it is like it's a complementary learning, or rather you can say, when they are going for a field work, it gives an experiential learning or a participative learning, because they do not learn something from the theory and later implement it, but they learn it, and simultaneously they start implementing it in their field. And all the field work across the 4 semesters are not the same. In the first semester, they are oriented on the NGOs, the functioning of the NGOs, and so on. And during the second semester, they are literally placed in an NGO individually, so that they know the actual functioning of the NGO, and the students are promoted to start programs and awareness activities in the NGOs. And during the third and the fourth semester, they move on to the fieldwork agencies based on the specializations that they choose. So it is not similar, though it is spread across 4 semesters. Each fieldwork is unique in its own way. And they also have something called block placement at the end of the 4th semester, the second year, wherein it's more like a pre-employment training, where they are absorbed into the organization. They literally work for 1 whole month in the setting, so that the company or the NGO observes them. And many of our students, because of their inputs and their activities, they have been absorbed by the organizations also. So that is what is about field work. And as I told you, they will be having skill-based training. It is not theory-oriented academics. It is a skill-based training that they receive from the MSW curriculum.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So in Amrita, which all campus do we offer MSW program?
So we do offer MSW at Coimbatore campus, which is in Etimadai, and at the Kollam campus, which is in Amritapuri. We will be starting shortly in other campuses too. But as of now, we do have it in 2 campuses in Amrita.
So what is the eligibility to get into an MSW program at Amrita?
Well, if you see social work curriculum, it is a mixture of other disciplines. It is not purely social science or sociology, or it is not psychology. It is a mixture of sociology, psychology, political science, economics, counseling, and all. So any graduate who has completed his graduation is eligible to join for a master's program in social work. And uh, the curriculum itself is in such a way that everyone, all disciplines contribute for social work. And apart from the eligibility, we do have a written examination to identify the individual's knowledge of social problems. And there is something called empathizing with individuals or empathizing with problems. So basically, that is what is the skill that a social worker should possess. So during the interview process and during the written examination, we try to identify how far is the individual able to assess the social problem, and how far he is able to relate to the social problem and identify where the problem really exists, rather than looking at it as a person from outside. By empathizing with the individual, understand the problem and come out with solutions. So basically, they need to have a graduation in any discipline, and they need to undergo a written examination and a personal interview to be eligible for MSW program.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So what are the specialization that we offer at Amrita, and also how different is Amrita from other universities and colleges in India that offers MSW program?
At Amrita, we have four specializations, and one of the unique specializations that we offer at Amrita, that is one of the first in South Asia, is child rights and child protection. So we are the first university to offer child rights and child protection. And that basically deals with understanding children, the problems of children, and working for the alleviation of their problems. We have another specialization which is called physical and mental health. In other parts of the country, it is called as medical and psychiatric social work, but we call it as physical and mental health, specialized in physical and mental health. It basically deals with the social workers' intervention in medical settings, in psychiatric settings, and even in community health. And we do have the next specialization, which is community development. So as I told, working with communities, rural, urban, and tribal communities. And here they study about not only about rural and tribal communities, they also understand the problems of urban communities, because nowadays even the urban communities face a lot of problems. So urban governance, these are all some highlights of our MSW program, which are not there in other universities. And we have another course which is called disaster management, specialization in disaster management. That is quite useful for understanding disaster situations and crisis situations. And that helps individuals to solve problems in disaster settings. So these are the four major specializations that we offer.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So other than the academic activities, what are the other programs provided for the students to upskill themselves during the 2-year program at Amrita?
So if you see, we have, as I told you earlier, we have this concurrent field work and this rural camp and internship. We do have summer internship and winter internship. So all this provides a field training or on-hands training. But apart from that, we also organize workshops, seminars, and conferences related to the current problems, or we look at what are the current social issues, and we try to give more inputs through these conferences and webinars and seminars to the students. And if you see, our students are not only involved or engaged in learning social work alone, but they also are made to become more creative. In terms, we have a newsletter in our department, which is called Udan. So we started this with the initiative of the students. The students were the active members of the newsletter. They were the ones who were involved in designing the newsletter, bringing content for the newsletter, editing the newsletter, and it was headed by a faculty. So they were the ones who were carrying out all the activities of the newsletter, be it editing the newsletter or making the content of the newsletter. They were fully engaged in this, and we have students from the newer batches also joining in and actively participating in this. Apart from this, our students are also taking initiatives in observing days of importance like national days and international days. So, and while observing these important days, they also ensure that they attend seminars and conferences related to these events, and so that they just not do not just observe those days, but they really understand the essence of those days and why it is being celebrated. And it is not just a celebration, it comes with knowledge. It is not just celebrating a day and leaving it, and the next day they forget about what they have celebrated. So it is also giving them knowledge and sensitizing them on those issues. When we have these conferences, it helps them to get sensitized on those social issues and what, as a social worker, what they could do. And apart from that, they are also we do have a project called Unnat Bharat Abhiyan, which is currently running in our university, and Amrita Department of Social Work is the nodal agency for UBA. It's a central government program sponsored by the Ministry of Education. And this UBA, or Unnat Bharat Abhiyan, is also facilitated by the students' participation. It is not done only by the faculty, but we ensure that the students participate. So during the course of participation, they understand what are the different programs that are offered by the government for the welfare of the community, and what is their role in implementing these programs in the community, and how can they implement it, what are the loopholes in implementing these programs and projects, and what can be done to avoid these loopholes. So the students get a live training on understanding the community. Now we do also have other projects, like not only Unnat Bharat Abhiyan, we have had projects by UNICEF, by the Ministry of Social Defense, and by the Ministry of National Commission of Women, and so on. So during all these projects, while we were implementing all these projects, the students were made to be involved in this project. They were given orientation on how this project runs, and they were the active participants of the projects in identifying problems, understanding the feasible solutions, and giving their recommendations on what can be the feasible solutions for the problems. The students were active participants in all of these projects that we have handled. So it is not only, from this we can understand that it is not just a theoretical orientation that we give them in this program, but rather they get to work in the programs and the projects which are offered by the government organizations and the non-governmental organizations. So they do know how these organizations function. The reality of the functioning is known before they enter into the stream. Before they start working as a professional, they learn how to handle things and how to tackle situations when they are working in a community. And they also have an option called Live-in Labs, which is one of the unique feature of Amrita, where they go into the community, visit the community, understand the problem. And it is not only social workers who visit the community in Live-in Labs program. There are students from different disciplines visiting the community. So social workers visit, engineering students visit, and they all sit together and identify the problem, and they come out with solutions from different disciplines. It is not only the social worker who decides what is to be the solution for the problem, but from different aspects, from both psychosocial aspects, from the technical aspects. It is all done in a comprehensive way. So then they arrive at a solution for the problem in a holistic approach, and then it is implemented in the community. So it is not only for social workers. This Live in Labs is a program which is catering to all the students of the Amrita. So our students are also part of the Amrita Live in Labs program, whereby they try to understand the psychosocial problems, because we have a knowledge of psychological and the social aspects of the community. So our students help in understanding the psychosocial aspects and help in or implementing realistic solutions for the problem. So they have also created models where they have tried implementing those models in the community, and there these models can be replicated in the other communities also.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So after equipping them from the theory and the practice, what are the major academic as well as professional opportunities for a social worker?
So if you see in terms of opportunities, like when I was talking about the specializations that we offer, so we do have health related activities, or students can work in health sectors, in medical profession, in psychiatric settings or psychiatric institutions as psychiatric social workers and medical social workers, case managers, and so on. And apart from that, they are also, our students are also working in government and non-governmental organizations in the development programs, because nowadays government is coming up with a lot of programs for the development of the community. So it is mandatorily for a lot of for the social workers to be employed in the development programs. Like if you see, we have ICDS, Kudumbashri, and National Rural Livelihood Mission and all. If you see, it is mandatory for social workers to be employed in that program, and female social workers particularly to be employed in some programs which are put forth by the government. So they do work in non-governmental organizations, they also work in government organizations, they work in health settings, preferably in medical and psychiatric settings. They also work in humanitarian crisis. They work as a person who intervenes with people having crisis situations and who are facing disaster situations. They also work with people who are vulnerable, especially women and children. When there are projects for women and children, we do have a program called ICPS, Integrated Child Protection Scheme. And as a part of that, there are district child protection units running all over the state. And these child protection units have social workers employed. So it is not limited to only health or children, or it is across the community. Wherever there is a human existence, there will be social problems. And to intervene with social problems, we do need a person who can understand the social influence and the psychological influence, and correlate with that and then come out with solutions. We also have students who are going in for higher studies. It's not only, they do not only choose to work after MSW. There are quite a lot of students who choose to study further, who have gone to other universities abroad. For example, a few of our students have gone to British Columbia, Brunel University in London, and during their studies, they sometimes get jobs in the other countries. They sometimes quit and come back, and many of our students have started working in other countries now. They have there was a student who had gone to do her master's diploma in health policy, and she had got a job there. So getting a job while studying is also another common thing which is happening among the social work students. And most of our students do apply for higher studies in terms of UGC NET. They have cleared their NET examination. There are few students who are trying to go in for PhD courses. So we have examples of students where they go in not only for profession, as social work, but they also go in for teaching. They also enter into academics. We have many students who have gone in for a PhD and who are doing well in their doctorate courses also. Apart from that, we also have people who are working in hospitals across the country. We do have students working in hospitals, in NGOs, and government organizations, in NABARD, like that. So it is not limited to a particular stream or limited to a particular agency. It is widespread. We can find social workers working in every departments in the country. It is not limited.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So does Amrita provide any placement opportunities for the social work trainees?
Yeah, absolutely. We do have placement opportunities offered by the department. As I told you, we have students who have gone in for government organizations and non-governmental organizations. So we do have some NGOs coming into our department asking for students, and there are students who attend interviews and they are screened at the department and they absorb the students. So we do have organizations like UNICEF, Magic Bus, Youth for Jobs, and all coming into our department and absorbing students from our department. There are other government organizations also, as I told, NABARD. Then we do have students who are working in the correctional settings, in probationary settings. That is as a part of the government initiative. So we do have students who are working as a correctional officer or the probation officer in correctional settings. Then we also have organizations like ICDS. Yeah, we do have ICDS, Integrated Child Development Scheme, where social workers play a major role. Social workers are employed in these projects, and as I told you, female social workers are being employed. We also have corporates, students working in corporates like Wipro, Hyundai, as a CSR activist. And so it is quite vast. It is not limited to non-governmental. It is also spread across private and public sector companies. We also have Larsen and Toubro students who have been placed in L&T. It's quite enormous. It's a large list that follows. So I've just listed a few.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for sharing all the information. That's all we have for you today. Thank you everyone for joining us. So if you are interested to be a part of the MSW program that Amrita offers, you can visit our website and you can apply. The applications are now open. So yeah, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you.